Good evening and welcome back to Variety tonight, our second installment of the show. We had some snafus that allowed us or forced us to push back. This will be a weekly show, except for next week. But other than that, it's going to be a weekly show. Now let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to do here is going to be our weekly campus update, covering what you need to know going into the weekend. We'll get right into that. Let's get the show started. First thing, obviously, is spring break is here. I know I mentioned we won't have a show next week. That's because spring break is coming up. I guess at this point it's started. So let us know in the comments if you guys have plans for spring break. I personally will going back to Cincinnati, spending time with family. I know some people are going to Florida. Some people are going all over the place. So let us know what your plans are for that. Stephen Freck sent out an email this morning with campus hours and info. Make sure to check that out as well if you're staying on campus, including dining hall hours. Now, speaking of the dining hall, we have an update. Another email was sent out this morning. UIndy announced today that they're releasing a plan to improve the dining experience on campus. The update, which I think we can take a look at here, included a sneak peek of a virtual tour of what will take over the current dining hall. According to the email sent by UIndy Dining yesterday evening, the goals of the redesign were to emphasize a few key areas: increased offerings, more community-oriented space, bringing food preparation out of the kitchen and into the front of the house, and sustainability to ultimately result in a more engaged community around UIndy Dining. Hopefully these changes will create a more positive dining experience for the students on campus. To be honest, it was something that, I honestly think it was probably in the works since before the whole flooding incident went on. I don't feel like they just pulled that out of nowhere after the flooding. I feel like this has been something that's in the works. So honestly, convenient timing to have that be going on right after a whole bunch of damage is caused. Now, to wrap up what's going on here on campus, especially over the weekend, the NCAA Division II Midwest Regional Tournament will take place in Nickerson Hall this weekend. The first tip-off is at noon on Saturday. The Greyhounds will play at 5 p.m. Saturday evening against the McKendree Bearcats. The semifinals will take place on Sunday, and the championship game will be played on Tuesday. For live coverage of all the regional tournaments, tune into UIndy TV YouTube channel. Now, another weekly segment, we're going to our UIndy app post of the week. This one's a good one, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. Andy Hacker posted, "Is there a way for me to have accommodations for the mailbox in the Student Center? No matter how much I try, I can never open the mailbox." Now, he said the word accommodations, which is usually used, in circumstances where someone needs special accommodations, right? They for some reason can't open it. But he went on to say, "I don't want to keep relying on someone to open it for me." I really want to imagine that Andy has spent his entire time here, whether it's one semester, 6, 8, I don't know, trying with all his might to get the mailbox open, and he just for some reason can't do it. I will say, I've used those mailboxes. They suck. You have to turn right, then left, then right, and it's annoying. So I understand his pain, but it was just funny. I'm just imagining mental breakdowns going on because you can't get the mailbox open. So all my wishes go out to Andy. Andy, you can do it. I believe in you. And I think it was his sister supporting. Shelby Hacker, they have the same last name, so I'm guessing it's some kind of relative supporting him, giving him advice. The only thing I can think of is if you move to a place that has their own mailing systems like Robert's, any of the other apartments. I just think it's funny that a mailbox is the cause for him moving his entire living situation. It's just funny to me. Anyways, we're going to step aside, but when we come back, we've got all the entertainment news you need to get through the weekend. Stay with us.
Are you feeling alone in your faith? UIndy Catholic gives you an opportunity to get involved in a religious community on campus, providing sacramental needs and fellowship for prospective students and giving you a sense of belonging.
We just want you guys to know that God loves you, He delights in you, and He's in awe of you, and we would love to meet you, so you should come on out.
UIndy Catholic, a community for you.
For children who may have high-functioning autism, may have ADHD, processing challenges, working memory issues, sensory integration issues, those types of challenges. It's a place where human beings are valued, children are respected. It's a progressive school that takes a hands-on approach to education.
Now back with your entertainment news. Legendary comedian and actor Will Ferrell was spotted just about 10 minutes from UIndy's campus earlier this week. The star's surprise tour of Indiana began in no place other than the Beech Grove Walmart. According to WRTV, Tasha Ramey said her family saw a commotion in the parking lot and went to see what it was. Ramey said, "We watched them film and afterwards he walked up to us. He told us about a coast-to-coast road trip documentary he was filming." She said Ferrell didn't rush to get out of the parking lot and spent time with her and other fans that showed up. The star's trip to the Hoosier State didn't stop there. On Monday evening, Ferrell was spotted at Gainbridge Fieldhouse at a Pacers game with rapper 50 Cent. Ferrell pumped up the crowd before tip-off. 50 Cent pushed him onto the court in a race car as he waved to the crowd. Before the game, Ferrell threw up a few free throws. The Pacers posted a video on Twitter showing the star making a three-pointer as well. We are looking forward to seeing this documentary from Will Ferrell, especially after how much fun Ferrell seemed to have here in the Hoosier State. Now moving on to other actors, a happy little movie starring Owen Wilson will hit the box office next month. Now this speculation all started when a photo of Owen Wilson with Bob Ross stylized hair surfaced in November, and interest began to rise in the movie Paint, and it's only been getting higher. We know now more about the film thanks to the release of a new trailer. Although the ties to Ross's television program, The Joy of Painting, are obvious, a fictitious character named Carl Nargle is played by Wilson. Like Bob Ross, Nargle also has a show on PBS, but he faces competition from another highly contested television painter. Although he struggles to maintain his position at the top of the TV painting world, Nargle also seems to be a far more flawed character than Ross, who's obviously perfect. The film's writer and director promise that Nargle finds redemption at the conclusion of the film. Paint will release in theaters on April 7th. Now, I've only got one thing to say about that, and that's, wow. Looking forward to seeing if that little, trademark makes its appearance in the movie. Now, sorry for making you suffer through that impression. I like to think I'm decent at that kind of stuff, but I guess that's not necessarily for me to decide. I'm not a comedian yet. But someone who is a comedian is once again in headlines. A year after the infamous Will Smith Oscar slap, Chris Rock makes a slap back. Let's take a look at what he had to say regarding the incident in his brand new Netflix comedy special, Selective Outrage.
I'm gonna try to do a show tonight without offending nobody, okay? I'm gonna try my best. People they always say, words hurt. That's what they say. Gotta watch what you say, because words hurt. You know, anybody that says words hurt has never been punched in the face. Will Smith practices selective outrage. Y'all know what happened to me, getting smacked by Suge Smith. I love Will Smith. My whole life I love this. My whole life I root for this, okay? And now, I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped. How come you didn't do nothing back? I got parents. And you know what my parents taught me? Don't fight in front of white people.
So here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can go either way on how you feel about this situation. I remember watching that video of the original slap. I watched the censored version that I think actually aired on TV, and then I watched the uncensored version that released more on Twitter side of things. I still go back and forth. My initial thought was, this seems staged, this seems like a PR stunt. I don't know. I still go back and forth. I still think there might be some truth to that, because then you get the opportunity to release a Netflix comedy special about the incident and make even more money off of it. But then at the same time, these seem like real words. These seem like Will Smith seemed genuinely angry. It's hard to tell. Everyone's all actors. You're never going to know. Now, as Nathaniel Finch would say, let's completely switch gears and finish off our entertainment news with something my childhood self would be over the moon about, a new and exciting movie about New York City's finest reptilian warriors.
Stay still. Stay still.
Now! Oh! Let's try that again, but with ninja stars.
Hey, why did we pick a fruit shaped exactly like my head?
Just stop talking. You're ruining my concentration.
You're fine. Chill. He's gonna die.
Wait, did you hear that? What was that? Well, nothing we can do. You guys want to grab pizza?
Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? What the heck are those things? They look like little Shreks to me. Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Oh, we've prepared our whole lives for this.
Can I kick it?
Oh my, I'm gonna be sick.
Leo, what happened? Is Donnie bleeding?
It was an accident. Mikey, watch out!
So you were baby turtles who made contact with mystery goo.
Well, we prefer the term ooze, but yeah.
It's like more like, it's just nicer.
It rolls off the tongue better, yeah.
Ooze.
It's nice, right? It's ooze.
Oh my gosh, that looks amazing. I remember watching that trailer. I watched it a few days ago on Twitter, and I got so excited. Like, it looks like it's such a fresh start for the Turtles. And listen, I'm a long-term fan of the Turtles. I remember I was a kid. My parents are, they would both be at work and they would have to bring me along. They both work at a high school teaching theater. I would be underneath the soundboard of the high school theater playing with my Ninja Turtle action figures. And so I've been a lifelong fan. I was like 5 years old back then. And I've watched them, like go through some different experiences. They've had some like animated stuff. They've had some live action stuff. It's all been hit or miss for me. But this looks like a very fresh start for the Turtles, and I am very much looking forward to it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is what it's called. It releases on August 4th. You better believe I will be there at the midnight showing or whatever the earliest showing is. I think it's like the Thursday night thing now. I don't know. Regardless, I'll be there. And you can expect a full review coming from me wherever it all releases on. Coming up after the break, it's more news, except this time there will be some discussion following what is possibly the best news package I've ever seen, ever. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back to Variety Tonight. Now, unfortunately, things need to get a bit serious as security concerns on campus have arisen. Luckily, UND TV supplies our show with numerous reporters that are able to go out into the field to collect information and package it all together nicely for me so that I can sit inside and plan out the rest of my show without having to worry about it. Let's take a look at what our reporter found, and afterwards we'll get a discussion with a GV resident. I'm here at Greyhound Village on the campus of the University of Indianapolis to talk with students about a new policy that's gone up regarding security. In an effort to reduce the frequency of break-ins and robberies, resident services at UIndy decided to release a new policy for both Greyhound Village and university lofts, which will hopefully allow students to feel safer in their homes. This new policy is definitely a unique one, as it states that residents of the campus apartments should be sure that they are not holding any doors for anyone. They go on to say that they understand it may be in students' nature to be polite and hold doors for peers, but that all should refrain from doing so. Although Greyhound Village is considered to be one of UIndy's finest places to live, an abundance of recent incidents have raised concerns with campus security, and specifically security for the apartment complex. I spoke with GV resident Cameron Owens about his take on the new policy.
Okay, ready? Yep. I'm a big fan. They implemented it a couple weeks ago, and I really think it's cut down on the crime here at GV. There hasn't been a break-in in at least the past 20 minutes or so I definitely think it's a step in the right direction.
I also wanted to see how Cameron was doing with putting the policy into practice.
So I pretty much live by one rule now, and that is to not let anyone in ever, no matter what, under any circumstance. They could be holding several items, and they might need somebody to hold the door, but it sure ain't gonna be me.
Because of the overwhelming support of this no door holding policy, it seemed important for me to understand the psychology behind this security method, what people's thought processes are, how they view each other, and also if there were any noteworthy encounters that they have had.
Yeah, so pretty much, don't let anyone in ever. There could be somebody coming in behind me. I don't know who they are. They could be a criminal. They could be an UMSL fan, dude.
It's always great to see all the things the university is doing to protect our pack. For UNDTV, I'm Colin Jung. No! Big shout out to that incredible reporter, clearly one of UNDTV's best and brightest. Now, talking about this important topic is something I obviously wanted to do on the show, and what better way to do it than have another resident of campus here with me at the desk. Now, Hannah, you have lived at GV. You live at GV right now.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you lived there?
This is my second year living at GV.
Okay. I wanted to know if you feel like the crime has always been as bad as it is right now. I know I'll get a lot of reports of like break-ins, robberies, stuff like that. Do you feel like it's always been this bad, or do you feel like it's been something that's been like kind of a developing thing?
I'm not necessarily sure if it's been something that's like developed, but I think we're hearing a lot more about it now. I'm not sure if that's because whoever is in charge of GV didn't want to tell us things like that before, but it does seem like there's a lot of crime on GV's grounds. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's any responsibility that the students need to take on? Do you feel like there's anything that residents could be doing to reduce the risks of those things, or do you feel like it's entirely on the staff to make sure that we're aware and make sure that we're kind of in the loop about everything?
I would say that all students need to be locking their doors. I think that it's customary sometimes for people to leave their door unlocked so that their friends can come by, or maybe they don't want to take their key with them to class. Could be me personally. I always lock my door. Actually, the other night I got locked out because my roommate, for some reason I did not have my key, but my roommate locked me out. So then I had to go downstairs to the GV office. No one was there, which is a whole nother issue actually too, because I did call the emergency number on the door and no one answered. I called them about 8 times. No one answered. So I think that on GV's end, they should have a number that works and someone that is, on the other end of the line. But yeah, I think students can definitely lock their doors more. And then, obviously, like not holding doors for people is a great idea.
Yeah, so you talk about not holding doors for people. Talk to me about this new policy, like what exactly it all entails.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even read the whole email because I know it doesn't apply to me because I didn't hold doors anyways. So from my understanding, people were holding doors for other people, how you saw in the package, how someone was coming in holding a lot of stuff and the person pulled the door shut. That's how it should be. Each person has a swipe key for a reason, and it's on them. They're lazy, or whatever word you want to use. If they don't want to pull out their card and use it themselves, that's why you have it.
Right.
So yeah, the email was basically just saying don't hold the doors for other people.
Yeah, no, and I think it's lazy is the perfect word for it, because that guy carrying a bunch of things, he's trying to get it all done in one trip. He doesn't need to get it all done in one trip.
Right.
He can make multiple trips and have a hand free to swipe his own card.
Absolutely.
It's about the security and peace of mind, really, for GV residents. I think that's a really important thing. You talked a little bit about how you feel about it, and you mentioned that you don't hold doors. Is that a thing that was going on before the policy?
Listen, I think a common misconception about me specifically, I am from the Midwest. I'm born and raised in Indiana, but I am a strong, independent woman. And my birthday was on Wednesday, which was also International Women's Day, and that is no coincidence, okay? I'm a strong, independent woman. I can open my own doors. So I didn't really hold doors for other people before this. That's why I said the email didn't apply to me. And I'm actually offended if people do hold doors for me.
Interesting you'd say that. I obviously am someone who, respects women. I'm a big advocate of that. But it's interesting you bring up International Women's Day, because I actually don't celebrate that holiday. But here's why. I treat every day like it's International Women's Day. I think it's an important thing to respect women and treat every day like it's that day. So that being said, I do have a interesting story that kind of will tie back into what you were just talking about being offended about this thing. So I was on a date back in high school, and I was with this girl, and we were walking out of the restaurant, and I held the door open for her. And I mean, I don't really need to say much else besides she friend zoned me immediately.
You ruined it.
I mean, right after that, you know, I mean, I drove her home and
Yeah.
she got out of the car super quickly, almost ran back inside.
As she should.
And, you know, as I've started to mature and, you know, my frontal lobe kind of develops, I've realized like, oh my gosh, that was the worst possible thing I could have ever done. She's a strong, independent woman. I shouldn't have held that door for her. And, you know, I've honestly lived, I think I've been bogged down by the guilt and shame of what I've done in that.
That's what therapy's for. So I'm not sure if you, you know, it's clear that you struggle with this. I can see you're having a little bit of an emotional reaction here.
Yeah.
I recommend therapy. So my mom's therapist. I can get you in contact
That
with
would
her.
be great.
Yeah?
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think it's, yeah.
It's okay. Deep breaths. It's okay. We're gonna get through this together.
If you struggle like I do, you can get help. We'll just put Hannah's mom's number out for everyone, and we can all get help. Not everyone needs to struggle. Thank you for joining me and talking about this very important topic, and you know, it took a bit of an emotional turn, but I'm happy for it. Yeah. We'll be right back after this, talking about some incredible man that has been taking America by storm. Stay with us.
Hey, it's Giselle here on 88.7 WICR.
88.7 The Diamond, the only jazz and classical station in Indianapolis, completely led by the students of the University of Indianapolis. Listen to us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn app, FM radio, HD radios, or even on our website at wicronline.org, a different kind of public radio.
Now, as I mentioned before as I was having my emotional breakdown, we are going to be talking about a man that has been taking America by storm, and that is Pedro Pascal. Now, I know that some people across the country have taken to calling him Daddy. Now, I don't want to talk about that as much as I do his incredible acting performance in his new show, and I have a big fan of that show with me here. Derek, thank you so much for coming on
Yeah, no problem.
to talk about Pedro Pascal's new show.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm a big fan of the show. I was super excited for it the moment I heard about it. You know, he plays this reluctant father figure. He eventually comes into contact with this child. This child has some kind of special higher purpose, and he is tasked with taking care of this child. Now, it's interesting to me. Talk to me about the whole, you know, kind of view that his character has with this child initially, you know.
I feel like he was really reluctant to take the child on at first. You know, kind of shut himself off, kind of carried it like it was just an object, something he had to just get rid of. But then as the show went on, the story went on, he became like a father figure, and I think he embraced that role. And I find that really like inspiring, because it made me think I could be a father too.
Wow, that is inspiring. I think, yeah, I mean, I know early on, you know, he mentions that this child is basically just cargo to him. And it was interesting to see that relationship kind of develop into that father figure role. You know, especially with, you know, his past experience of fatherhood. Obviously that didn't go super well for him, not to his fault at all. But I think it's something that, you know, it was cool to watch him grow into that. And, you know, with his character specifically, you know, I think it's something that he carries a lot of weight, you know. I mean, physically, he's got a backpack with like guns and stuff. But, you know, it's something that emotionally he carries a lot of weight, and emotionally he's got a lot of things going on. And, you know, I mean, the world's gone to hell, and it's cool to watch him deal with all those things. Now, his performance, it's incredible. I mean, I think that just in his tone and in his voice, you can really hear a lot of the subtle things. You know, I think he plays the emotionally closed off role really well.
Oh, most definitely.
How do you feel like he uses his face to portray emotions?
Face,
Mhm.
yeah. When you see it, it's great. I mean, tears are amazing.
Yeah.
But then you don't see it, so I'm just, you know, I just assume what he's looking like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's a pretty prominent character, so I feel like you do see his face a lot.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
In like 2 episodes.
Okay, so you're 2 episodes in. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's got the. Yeah. As for combat, you know, like kind of the fighting and the more of the action that kind of goes on, it's cool to see how grounded it is.
Oh,
you
most
know,
definitely.
You know, like
the blaster fire, flamethrowers, jetpacks. Oh my God, flying.
the flamethrowers. Yeah, the
Mhm.
jetpacks. Don't talk to me about that.
Oh.
The jetpack.
You know,
okay.
you know,
No. Are you? So you're 2 episodes in, or are you 80?
No.
Because I didn't. Okay.
No.
Setting. The setting. Let's talk about the setting.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's this, you know, modern day but not modern day thing, right? You know, you've got you know, this setting that's like, this could happen. You know, it starts out with a very real warning to the world, like this is a reality that could come to pass.
No, it happened a long time ago. Far, far away.
I mean, Boston's kind of far from here. Yeah.
No. But yeah, sure.
I mean, you know, it starts out about 20 years back. That's
Sure.
a long time ago.
For some people.
I mean, that's where it starts. Derek, I don't think we're on the same page here. Have you even seen The Last of Us?
The Last of what?
The Last of Us. That's
what?
what we're talking about is the Last of Us.
The Last of what?
That's what it's called.
What is The Last of Us called what?
No, that's what it's called.
What?
The show.
What?
Derek, the show is called The Last of Us. That's what it's called. The show on HBO Max and the game that created before.
What game?
The game that the show is based
whoa,
off of,
what-
The
what
Last of Us.
game?
That's what we're talking about here. The Last of Us.
There is no game.
There's a game
There's not a
called The
game.
Last of Us. It was released on PlayStation 3.
There's no game. And if it was on PlayStation, I would have had it.
Derek, that's what it's called. Listen, did you really think you could just come on this show and just talk about The Last of Us with not having seen it?
What, The Last of what?
That is what the show is called, The Last of Us. The Last of Us. That is the title. Put it in quotation marks. The Last of Us. Italics. The Last of Us. That's what we're talking about. The show called The Last of Us. Is that?
No. I think I was talking about The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. This is embarrassing.
Yeah, The Mandalorian's cool.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's a good show.
Great show. Pretty sure your show's great too, you know?
Thanks. This one's been a rough one, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I feel bad.
Oh, don't feel bad.
I do. I invited you on, and you know, I felt like you were embarrassing me, but now I feel like I've embarrassed you. And I want to extend a hand of friendship and invite you on the show next week, if that would be okay with you.
That's great.
It's been a hard day for me.
Sorry.
And I know you saw probably earlier as you were waiting in studio. But the show must go on, and
Yeah.
that's what we did, and I'm proud of us for that.
Mm-hmm. Be strong.
I'm strong. We'll get you Hannah's mom's.
I need it.
Okay. Thank you for joining us here on Variety tonight. We won't be back next week. We'll be back eventually.
Let it out.